One of the best people in the whole world is in the studio with us, Don Schlitz, not only Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame-er, I guess is the word. What do you call that? A Hall of Fame?
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
I guess. Also going into the Grand Ole Opry as a member of the Grand Ole Opry.
Yes.
Don Schlitz, the one and only. Just a couple of songs that you've written, just a couple.
Yeah.
The Gambler, When You Say Nothing at All. On the Other Hand, help me out here.
Do you want me to help you out?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Let me look it up.
Forever and Ever, Amen.
Forever and Ever, Amen. Wrote some wonderful songs with Mary Chapin.
Yes.
Wrote,
I Feel Lucky.
I Feel Lucky. He Thinks He'll Keep Her. I Take My Chances. Deeper Than the Holler. I'm going to start forgetting what we've had. A Houston Solution, Ronnie Millsap sang. How can you forget that? Old
Yeah,
School, which
Old
John
School,
Conley
yeah.
sang, you know.
Wow.
And had a great run. Now, you gotta. Oh, and the Judds with I Know Where I'm Going, Rhythm, Rockin' with the Rhythm Rain, and I can't even know my own titles. And
When You Say Nothing at All, Keith Whitley.
Keith Whitley and Alison Krauss,
Yep.
and then Ronan Keating had an international pop record with this. And I'm really sick of talking about myself already.
Okay.
That's awesome, though. That's why you're here.
How many Country Music Hall of Fame members have recorded one of your songs?
I have never sat down and talked
Oh.
about it, but I mean, I don't know, but
It's like
a lot of
20 or something like that.
Is it?
It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, are there people out there you want to pitch some songs for me to?
Yeah, I can. I
Go
can
give
be
me
your
a- go-
song plugger.
give
I can do that.
Give me a Roy Acuff cut at last.
Who do you not have that's still with us? We can go after them. Like, there anybody on that list?
Yeah, did you have a list of like, man, I wish so-and-so would have got a song of mine?
It's really amazing. I have actually thought about it, but I did have a George Jones cut. The one person that I missed was Merle Haggard, who was a great songwriter himself. When Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton duetted on "You Can't Make Old Friends," that I went like, okay, really? Dolly Parton has sung something that I wrote down on paper. That's these are so many of these people are great songwriters themselves.
Yeah.
I've had a Willie Nelson cut, an album cut, and I
A
can't.
Garth cut? You got a Garth cut?
Garth cut, learning to live again,
Yeah.
which was an amazing thing. Did a great job of that.
What was the very first song that you had success with?
Well, that's going to be so funny because I know that your base station here is KDF.
Yeah.
And the first song that I had recorded, no one would touch. So my publisher put it out and sent it to the radio stations. So your AM partner, WKDA, as I was working as a computer operator at Vanderbilt, at about 2 o'clock in the morning, a DJ had a stack of records, and he pulled it out, and I heard myself singing, and it was The Gambler. So that was the very first song that I ever had recorded, and so that was a nice.
So it was your version, you singing it.
Yes.
And your version is it's different than the Kenny Rogers version.
Actually, the version that I had then was very similar to what Kenny ended up doing with Larry Butler producing, and mythology has it that it was recorded by Kenny one night and Johnny Cash the next night, or vice versa. So that's.
And neither one of them were the first, because I think Bobby Bear recorded
Bobby
it
Bear was
first,
the very
right?
first after me, but I think Billy Sherrill, the famous Hall of Fame producer, didn't think it was a hit, according to Bear, and Billy Sherrill was right often, but not always, as none of us are. You should
And no offense to Bobby Bear, but I've heard that version of the song and the Johnny Cash version, and it doesn't have that magic.
with the time that's passed and how many times we've heard it, that does make a difference of how we listen. But they did something with Kenny, his up-tempo version, his voice. Jimmy Capps played a guitar intro that was just amazing. And think about how we all fit together. Think about the cover of the Gambler album. And it was the first single off the album. And that had, I think, an awful lot to do with setting that as his signature song and how lucky am I. And I was able to leave behind my career as a really good all-night computer operator who tended to get about 4 hours sleep a night at work. Yeah. But I've heard your show. I know you do the same thing. So
we sleep, and we also put a lot of people to sleep. Could we hear the Gambler?
Let me tell you a little bit about how the reason I started. The reason I have the guitar in front of me, as I told you earlier, if I take the guitar away from in front of my body, I want to crawl under the nearest table, but for some reason I'm able to. Talk.
It's like George Strait, the way he will have a guitar in front of him all the time.
It's your comfort.
I was going for Linus and the blanket, but George Strait is good
George Strait
too.
works, yeah.
Yeah, I would take George Strait over Linus.
Well, never got a Linus cut.
Never.
Yeah, but I got a George Strait cut.
Yeah.
Was it Linus who was the singer? No, it was the one with the piano.
Schroeder.
Schroeder. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry about that.
So after years of playing the Gambler, to a great degree, the same way that Kenny would do it without the same vocal quality, I said, that's enough. I've got to do something different because people are asking for me to play Lady afterwards, and that wasn't going to. Okay, no, that's Lionel. That's he's good too. So I started moving it around a little bit. Can I play some of it for you?
Oh, yeah, please.
You can edit this, right? On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness. The boredom overtook us, and he commenced to speak, and he said, son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces and knowing what their cards were by the way they held their eyes. And if you don't mind me saying, I can see you're out of aces, and for a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice. So I handed him a bottle. He drank down my last swallow, and then he bummed a cigarette. Then he bummed a light, and the night got deathly quiet. His face lost all expression. He said, if you're gonna play the game, kid, you gotta learn to play it right, 'cause every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep, 'cause every hand's a winner, like every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, and know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there will be time enough for counting. When the dealing's done, there will be time enough for counting. When the dealing's done. When he'd finished speaking, he turned back towards the window. He crushed out his cigarette. He faded off to sleep somewheres in the darkness. The gambler, he broke even, but in his final words I found an ace I could keep. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, and know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting. When the dealing's done, there will be time enough for counting. When the dealing's done, there will be time enough for counting. When the dealing's done.
Don Schlitz. That's awesome.
That's so cool, man.
Everyone's singing along that. You got no.
I like the way you changed it. I mean,
do
it's
too.
your song. You can do whatever you
That
want
is,
with it.
that's the amazing, wonderful thing about being a songwriter. And that one I wrote by myself. A lot of the songs we talked about, I wrote with other people. A lot with Paul Overstreet or Bill Livesey, or sometimes with the artist or Mary Chapin, all of whom are wonderful songwriters. We didn't write with like 6 people in the room, which
Yeah.
I think people do these days. And
Yeah.
I just wonder where they find the chairs. But I never make a mistake because it's my song.
It's your song. Yeah, you can do
Not
whatever
only
you want.
that, I have the words in front of me.
That helps.
And that's I think I am the one person who plays the Opry, and then will soon be the first. This is the weirdest thing because I'm a songwriter. They've never had.
You're the first?
I'm the first and only. Yeah.
Dude, I didn't realize. I was like, there can't be many.
There are
Yeah.
other people who were songwriter artists.
Yeah, but not. Wow, dude, that's.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah, that's.
That sits heavy, right?
Now, something that they did, Vince Gill, who once told me to be sure and mention before every song that I wrote the song, otherwise people will think it's the worst karaoke night ever.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well.
Yeah, that's and those are my dearest friends.
Yeah. All right. Don Schlitz is with us. We're going to take a break, come back, and talk more with the one and only Don Schlitz up next. Hang on. Don Schlitz, songwriter, singer, performer,
Hall of
Famer. He is going into the Grand Ole Opry as a member, the first ever songwriter to go, and I just can't get over that. It's incredible.
Let me tell you what happened. It was so odd because, anytime as a songwriter, and I played the Opry like 50 or 60 times, having a great time, but knowing that there were stars out there. There were the Opry stars.
Right.
And so one night I'm standing back there, and you always get a little jealous, because that's what you come to town to do. And then you find out, like, oh, I guess I just get to write songs for everybody. And I was watching, and Vince had Charlie McCoy on, and surprised Charlie McCoy, the dean of the A-Team, musicians in Nashville, inviting him to be on the Opry. And I was standing backstage, which is what I really like to do, and watch everybody, because as I think I've thought long ago, I came to town to find out what happened backstage. And so I was standing backstage and leaning up against a wall and thinking, this is righteous. This is totally righteous. They're inviting a person of years. He's not a one-hit person. In fact, not a hit person. He's all he's done has been on everybody's record, every great record that we grew up with and knew.
If anybody
and
doesn't
still.
know, Charlie plays the harmonica, and he plays
and
it.
everything else. He
Everywhere.
played guitar on Desolation Row.
No, I did not know that.
Dylan said, sit down and play this. And you're like, 2 takes. Right.
Wow.
He is really a wonderful musician and a wonderful person. And I was thinking, that's just righteous. And so I go out and I'm closing the show, I guess right before Vince was going to play. And so I say, Vince, why don't you come out and play guitar with me? Because we are pals, and he's played on all my stuff. And we wrote a lot of songs together. And I've always had a good time giving each other a hard time. And we're able to do that. And that's something people enjoy because they're not used to seeing people give a big star like me a hard time. I mean, like Vince a hard time. So, and then when Vince says, we're going to do something that we've never done at the Opry before, we're going to invite 2 people tonight. And they did that with me, and you could have knocked me over. You still knock me over with a feather. It makes no sense. And I know
Oh, it
the
makes
Opry,
total sense.
and I just, here's what I figured out, D, is that I come with the songs, and those songs deserve to be played for people that come to the show. They're the hits, and the people that can sing them cannot sing them anymore. Kenny can't sing anymore. Keith Whitley can't be there. Randy is limited in what he can do. And so I can bring the songs.
Yeah.
And make no mistakes about it, because they're my songs. And, of course, as I said, when I'm singing my song, there are no mistakes.
Yeah.
it's just today's version.
Yeah. Hey, Don Schlitz in the studio with us. You can check Don. Don's got albums. He's got this Mountaintop, which is a bluegrass album, and then he's got, I don't know, all these different. What is your greatest hits?
I titled that one myself. How's that? That's the hits. There are a couple of the songs I knew Jack Durham. I'm from Durham, North Carolina. There's and a song called an album called Allergic to Crazy. Now, basically, the way to find these now is to go on your streaming device and you can listen to it. Type my name in, or whatever. I don't know that people actually go out and
buy CDs
anymore. Actually, I brought some for y'all because I'm trying to clean out a closet, and I just thought, oh, that'd be nice. They'd like these.
Patrick, you had a question about.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the story that I heard and may have told on the air once as a.
This will be
as a
good.
thing.
This will
But
be good.
I heard that. So Keith Whitley recorded On the Other Hand, and they didn't release it as a single.
But it was released in a very good version too. Yeah.
Okay. It was released as a single.
As
okay.
an album. cut.
Okay, as an album cut. And so then Randy Travis recorded it and it went to number one.
The second time they put it out.
Right.
The first time it only stopped in the 60s, and then they put out 1982, and that did really well. And then they did the thing you never ever do is put out a song again, and it was his first number one.
So,
Wow.
The way I heard it is Keith Whitley found out about that, okay, and was kind of annoyed that the label didn't let him put his version of On the Other Hand out because it was a big old hit for Randy, and said something to the effect, or you called him, or Paul called him and said, we got a song, and he goes, I don't care what it is, I'm going to record it and I'm going to put it out. Because because you said maybe it was as good as the last one or something along those lines.
I know the inner workings of the music community are wonderful to make stories up about.
Exactly.
There was a wonderful publisher I had named Pat Halper, and she took the song to Garth Fundis, and Garth Fundis, I guess, played it for Keith Whitley, and they made a great record out of it.
That's
I'm
the
sorry to
simple
bust
version.
your bubble.
Yeah, no.
You know?
It's way better when it's like Keith Whitley
But
going, well,
it is
I'm gonna
true.
record that.
It is true that the kid put Pop Rocks in a Coke and
he died.
He died, right?
Yeah,
that's totally true.
That's
Yes.
true.
Wow.
So talk to us about When You Say Nothing at All. This is a song that is you get several versions of it are out,
Right.
and such a magical, haunting song.
Well, that Keith did the original, and I think 10 or 15 years later, they did a tribute album to Keith Whitley, who died tragically, and Alison Krauss did the most beautiful version imaginable, and then a singer who was going solo from a British group called Boyzone, which I'm sure you guys play a lot of.
Yeah.
But his name was Ronan Keating, and Ronan put it out as a pop record. It was never released in America, and it was a number one record all over the world, which I had to find out about. I mean, he told me, I met Ronan, and he said, hey, I don't know, I can't do his accent. Let's pretend. I was playing in Thailand last week, and the entire audience was singing along with your chorus, and that's
Wow.
yeah, that sort of thing happens, and you have to keep your head down and go back to work and mow the lawn, and,
You're right.
and do what you do because every song for a songwriter leads to the next song, and that's the most wonderful thing about them is you get to go back to work the next day and work on something new.
Yeah.
As I recall, I'm somewhat retired now from that and just going door to door and doing interviews. Which I tell you because I do not do interviews.
I know you don't,
But,
we appreciate you doing
But,
this.
The story about the song was that I was writing with Paul Overstreet, and we had written On the Other Hand and Forever and Ever Amen, Deeper Than the Holler. In fact, about Deeper Than the Holler, I've got to interject a story. We're halfway through writing that, and I look at Paul, who's from Mississippi, and I say, Paul, what's a holler? So, city boy here, sorry, Durham, North Carolina, no hollers in Durham. We're on a plateau. So
That's funny.
but this was a song that I was lying in bed in the middle of the night, and I thought of a line and then made it all up in my head, half asleep, and I crawled from my bed to where, if I'd had a desk, it would have been, and scribbled down the words and some musical numbers, and went back to sleep. And next morning at like 10 o'clock in the morning, when Paul shows up and I'm sitting there playing the guitar, and I say, I think I've got something. He says, I said, but I don't have any idea what music's going to be, because Paul was, genius about music. And he said, well, I like what you're playing. At that point, I should have thought we're in trouble.
Right.
But we finished it in about 5-10 minutes, and
5 or 10
So this
minutes.
came to you basically in a dream, or half
no,
a dream.
it came to me in
In a sleepy state?
a sleepy state, I don't know, an attack of insomnia, which is what happens.
This is why I don't sleep. All my best ideas come from the
That's the only reason?
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much. Yeah.
that and sleep apnea.
It's amazing how you can speak right to my heart. Without saying a word, you can light up the dark. Try as I may, I could never explain what I hear when you don't say a thing. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes, says you'll never leave me. A touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall. You say it best when you say nothing at all. All day long I can hear people talking out loud. But when you hold me near, you round out the crowd. Old Mr. Webster could never define what's being said between your heart and mine. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes, says you'll never leave me. A touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall. You say it best, you say nothing at all. You say it best, you say nothing.
Golly. Written in 5 or 10 minutes.
And I only made 4 mistakes in that version.
That's all
There
right.
are no mistakes. You wrote the song.
There
That's
you
right.
go.
You wrote
But
it.
there were some interesting chords played in the second verse. I'm going like, I'm looking at you guys, looking at each other, going like, you know what?
I'm in. We don't care.
Can we fix that?
No, we can't fix it. It's already happened. It is what it is. Don Schlitz, everyone. You can congratulate Don on his going into the Grand Ole Opry. He's the only songwriter to ever go, to go into the Grand Ole Opry.
I
as a
wonder,
member.
too, if you're not one of the first people who was already in the Country Music Hall of Fame before they get into the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You might be the first or
You
second
know, I
one.
am really going to have to go home
Do your
and,
homework.
and put my head in the dryer and hope it shrinks.
That's what we're here for.
You guys are.
Listen, there's
I already wear a size 8. I mean,
There's-
come on, hat that is.
Yeah, the only the best in the world, the one and only Don Schlitz, everyone. Don, thank you and congratulations.
Thanks, D. Thanks, Papa.
Hey, if you like that video, go ahead and subscribe and like and hit the bell and do all the stuff.